Hello, this is Pavel, and this is Today Operating Brief. I had a conversation recently, and I thought it's a good idea for the video because I had this question multiple times in the past. Which framework and in what capacity is good to implement to improve teams' productivity? I studied different frameworks. So there are management frameworks, there are architectural frameworks, there are governance frameworks. I certified by Isaka, I certified by Togov, PMI. There are different approaches. So which one is the best to improve team productivity? And I think this is where I need to step back and understand that framework itself does not improve productivity. No matter how you see this, framework you implement is overhead over the work you do. It creates additional artifacts, it creates additional meetings, checkpoints, responsibilities. So it does not directly contribute to the output. I like to see the dynamics in the human relationship, and the team is definitely a good example in terms of energy. So we understand what the human energy is. So we understand that human energy high produces the activity, produces desire, produces willingness to do, and the energy low means that every small action requires additional push. And let's leave aside the reason for that. There is a high energy, there is a low energy. Team dynamics can be explained in the energy too. There is a high energy team. And a good example is a startup team. Any company, when it grows to the same level of the maturity, has a memory of how it was different when the team was a startup. Everyone was active, everyone was willing to take on any job, everyone was enthusiastic, everyone was doing 3 times more what it seemed to be the team producing now. So there's a startup energy. And as things start growing and the scope of work grows and the responsibilities and the customer base and the work grows, it starts obvious more and more when two people chased the same task while another task left unattended. When the customer interactions stop in one head and it died because that person wasn't at work that time, and so on. When team energy is high and you start notice that it loses the focus, this is the time when you need to shape the focus. And this is where you bring in some formality to the process. It is an overhead, but the cost of the overhead is less than the potential damage the loss of focus creates. I like the example of cell charge in the human body. So we have trillions of cells, and every cell has a small electrical charge. When you mathematically adds up all of the charge so that it creates enormous amount of charge that body potentially has. But the human body has zero electricity charge because the charge of every cell is completely uncoordinated. So this metaphor works for team. If it has a lot of energy, but the work is not coordinated, the work start negates each other. And this is the moment when it looks like everyone is doing all their best, but nothing is moving. And this is the time when you need to bring something to structure to create a focus. So you take an existing energy and you shape the focus. You create positive impact. But if team has no energy, If nothing is moving, if everything is a big deal, if nobody wants to take accountability on the task, then adding additional framework, adding a bureaucracy to the existing processes will not help. It is creative, and at the best, it will increase the avoidance by focusing on removing accountability. Yes, we follow the process. Yes, we follow the procedure or framework. So the takeaway that framework does not produce energy. It focuses energy that's already exists and coordinates it across people who are already moving. So the framework question is second, the energy question is first, and almost nobody asks it in that order. So if you look at the team and the state of the team, and team has no energy, going through motion, nobody cares, then what framework does? It's add work to people who already resent the work, accelerate the decline. And the obvious solution is to fix the energy first. The framework is not the intervention. When team energy is unfocused, everybody is busy, effort cancel out, things fall between people. This is the only state where the framework pays for itself. Take the smallest piece of one and run it. And there is another state, energetic, focused, small team, and you rolled out a framework anyway. So you just converted working energy into ceremony. That is the bureaucracy failure mode, and it is the most common one. Here's something worth borrowing from technical teams. They invented this. Go into strong engineering team and ask who has read the Scrum guide cover to cover. Almost nobody. And it sometimes is perceived as someone who doesn't know the framework in details. There's interesting ancient principle, it is called Aristotle principle, that the whole is bigger than parts. You can apply it to all of those checklists and these steps when they define the framework. If you go to someone who successfully implement project and ask them how they do it, there's no better option to go and explain them in a form of steps and checklists one by one. It does not mean that if you follow them exactly the same order and exactly the same steps, you will reproduce success. So knowing frameworks to the wording does not guarantee you success. The application of principles to your practice is. Bob Emiliani spent a career studying why lean programs fail, and his conclusion blunt. Most companies practice what he called fake lean. They adopt the tools and skip the change how management behaves. The same thing happens with every framework. The board goes up, the meeting gets scheduled, the templates get filled, and the way decisions actually get made is identical to the month before. This is the theater, not operating change. And it's always leadership half that goes skipped, never the teams. So if someone asks me which framework will make the team more productive, the honest answer, most of the time, none of them, not yet. And here's what to do instead. Every framework in existence is an elaboration of one loop. What we are doing, who owns that, and when do we look at what happened. That loop is irreducible core. If a team can't run those three, no framework will help because there's nothing to elaborate on. If the team can run those three, you may already be done, and adding structure is just a tax. So install the loop first in the plainest form it takes. A short list of what it flights, run the barrel loop for one quarter. If nothing holds on and you're still colliding, when go shopping and go shopping for the specific question you couldn't answer, not for entire brand. I guess that's all for today, and shoot me questions if you have any, and otherwise I'm gonna Talk to you next time.